as it is a new year, I was thinking today, you know what? What has happened on this day but decades ago? So I specifically remembered that on whenever I guess August or September rolls around, I forget what month, it'll be 20 years since Hurricane George. And I remember that hurricane because I was a kid back then, and I just remember how wild that was because everyone was talking about it on the news. Get ready for this, get ready for that. Make sure that you have water, make sure that your house is as secure as you can get it to be. Um, Animals, make sure that you shelter them. And not only that, but I actually decided to go on YouTube and look up any footage from hurricanes that anybody may have filmed at the time, or especially news reports. And holy crap, I couldn't help but feel some type of way because you know how everything has gotten fancier over the years when it comes to reporting. So back then, the way that the Doppler radar looked, it just hasn't aged well. So I'm so glad that news stations now have like, I think it's called the Super Doppler or something. Anyways, it's like an upgraded version of what they had back then. And also, it was cool to see reporters that I grew up watching, and I know that they're still around, they're still reporting and everything, but just how much younger they were, and some of them were inexperienced. So now that I listen to them or watch them now, it's like, oh, I remember when you were a little younger and new to the job. So now you have built up the confidence and um, also like you express yourself in a more less nervous way and more professional way. So, anyways, I thought it was a pretty cool experience to look back at something like that. You guys know that I'm obsessed with the weather. So, I said to myself, this is a very good thing to reflect on. Um, Another thing is, I just remember how communication was just so different. Like, there is just no way that, say, my mom would have found out about what was happening um, in any other way that's not TV or the radio. She actually listened to the radio, like those big block ones. I don't even know how to describe them, but they look like portable jukeboxes almost. But she says they were the thing back in her time. I think that radio that I'm thinking about goes all the way back to like the 70s or something for her. So, anyways, I remember she had one in the bathroom. Um, and then when it came to television, she treated the television like a radio. Like, I do not have a memory of my mother sitting down watching TV because she was always on the move, um, cleaning around or making sure that we're eating or doing homework. But I guess the only time she would really sit down was to eat and maybe glimpse at the TV. But like my mom deciding to spend an hour watching a show sitting down, that just never happened. And remember that she was a teacher too, which means that she has to work at home on top of what she does. But, anyways, another thing that I noticed while watching some news was that back then, some stations didn't seem to have the teleprompter, or when did the teleprompter even come about? But I know that the reporters were looking down at the papers and like just announcing stuff. And I love that art because even though they're reading, they give it a voice to where they're not reading that news voice. But they everybody has a pen in their hands, and honestly, in more modern times, any TV news that I may catch up on, I never see that many papers on top of a desk, really. And the reporter's eyes never shift anywhere else that's not, like straight at you, which means that they're looking almost straight at the camera lens, because that's where they place that teleprompter now. So, to think that only 2 decades ago, some stuff as we know it just wasn't there, you know? And the newsrooms looked so cluttered. Like you could see other rooms, like, what can I say? Um, like other people's desks and other computer screens and everything. Whereas nowadays, it's like you have a whole area designated for reporting, and then also in the background maybe you have some screens with the title of the story that you're going over, you know what I mean? So it's like the green screen game definitely saw an upgrade. But it's just amazing for me because for me this was just not that long ago. But when I think about it, yes, it was that long ago. It's 20 years. Like, how did that happen? I keep thinking that the 90s were 10 years ago for some reason. I just have not transitioned well from the 2000s to like the decade that we're in now. So, like the 2010s. It's kind of strange. I don't even know how to explain it. But anyways, what else shocked me about watching reports? I know that I'm totally forgetting to mention something. Um anyways, but it's just I love the fact that technology has evolved definitely for the better when it comes to that, because I feel like you do not need to wait for a certain time of the day to have access to television to get your information. You know what I mean? So even though when a storm is coming, they interrupt regular programming to make sure that you're getting that information. But it's just great that you have phones now in your pockets that have the access to vital info, and you don't have to necessarily be at home tuning in or carrying a massive radio to be in tuned. So, anyways, I just am grateful that we have evolved when it comes to that. And yeah, long live the 90s. What can I say? Let me see what you're saying. I love these dark streams. Honestly, I nearly did not make this stream. But since everything that I just watched is so fresh in my mind, I said I have to start rambling and talking and just throw it on a video so that I just don't lose sight of what my intention was by watching all this 20 years ago stories and types of deals. I really revolved on the hurricane story because, storms fascinate me. So I was thinking, what do I remember from 20 years ago? Oh, yeah, this one hurricane. So it's cool to see clips that I vaguely remember actually watching them now as an adult. And it's like, yeah, this is why adults act all kind of weird and stressed out, and understandably so, because it's their responsibility. But when you're a kid, you don't understand that. You just know that things just happen. Like for me, when my mom would get the house ready and stuff, I know she would call people to do things, but I never paid attention to how much work gets put into hurricane prep. So it was interesting because I'm thinking if that were to happen now, I would have to be making some phone calls and maybe relocate and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy that since I'm not a kid anymore, I have to watch for myself as opposed to just being guaranteed that I'm being fostered. Anyways, I'm in the dark too, trying to find a place to order a veggie pizza. Put some meat on that pizza. You must have to get up early. Nah, I'm off today. I know that it's over midnight, anyways. I miss the old days. I'm an old man, and things happened to be better back then. You know what? I agree because as not to crap on it, but as much of a strain as watching that stuff puts on my eyes now. Back then, that technology was impressive, okay? Anything coming out in the 90s was the joint. So it's just crazy. The 90s are the best and the 80s. I agree because I get a lot of influences from the 90s and even the 80s, especially music wise. So if you ever had to deal with the hurricane and had to move up north a little more, you can always call me. I actually helped a friend that came all the way from Venezuela to Miami and then Tennessee. That's cool. Honestly, ever since I moved to my current residence, I really have not had to sweat any hurricanes that much like I used to when I lived a little further south. So I'm not even um, sweating that too much, but I should think about it and have a plan because with the way that weather is changing and you just gotta have a plan. And even if I were to go up north, there's really no safe route for you when it comes to living in the east because let's face it, mother effing Hurricane Sandy in 2012 went all the way up there to, was it New York or something? So yeah, don't get me started. Country. Yeah, I've been practicing. Um but yeah, that's pretty much all that I have to say. I just love that stuff that I enjoy, like the news. I enjoy them presently. When I was a kid, I hated them. I hated that mom would say, I need to watch the news, so turn off your gaming consoles or da 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 da. I'm like, man, news are boring. How can you possibly, news have no action. It's just people talking or people crying or some blood on the street and then a body in a bag. Like, how is that even fun? So, but now that I'm older, I myself tune into news because, it's important. But I would have never guessed 15, 20 years ago that that was going to be me, that I was going to be listening to this stuff. In other words, I didn't know what adulting would consist of. So, anyways, well, I'm going to keep the stream abnormally short, but later today, I plan on being pretty active on the channel because I'm done with just slacking off. Well, it's not slacking off, it's just that I've had a lot of work in general and I've just been tired. So I just wanted to catch up and just recuperate from the holidays. And yeah, but I'll keep my gears grinding. All right, I'll see you soon. Today or tomorrow. Well, it's past midnight already, so I really mean today, later today. Like when I return from my unconscious state of slumber. Bye.